Please understand that the circumstances were such that there was no need for bombast, and the guy wasn't inclined to bombast anyway. He said, we have penetrated or compromised every single Arab political and terrorist organization.
And that's not surprising. Yep.
And it doesn't surprise me at all either. No, I had not heard it before because I did NATO Europe, I did NATO Warsaw Pact, I did Red Blue stuff up there, and this was, the Middle East was out there, and yes, I'm aware of it, but I really didn't focus. And I thought that was really
half Israeli Jews are native Arabic speakers and pass for Arabs perfectly.
Yeah, so it's very easy to do that, and there would also be a certain percentage of Israeli Arabs who, for money or fear or whatever, would be willing to do that. There always is a percentage in any population. There were some Jews who worked for the SS. What can you do? And I thought about that when I was looking at the 9/11. I said, if that held, if their intelligence was that good, and there's no reason to suggest that it was not. I mean, one of the things that facilitates their assassination policy is that they have that kind of intelligence. This may very well have been a hijacking. The idea that there's a spectacular four-plane hijacking, where 4 planes wander off someplace, and it's, that would be dramatic. I don't think it was, but that was a possibility. And
you're going to have to summarize this because we're just about at the end.
Okay, and that Mossad, having become aware of it, saw this as a golden opportunity and took it and effectively hijacked the hijackers.
Okay, and how would they do that? In other words, how would Mossad be able to remote fly
RPVs? Dov Zakheim, who I knew in the 70s and 80s, ran a company that specialized in RPV and drone technology. I have been told by aviators it's possible. I cannot verify that because I'm not an engineer.
Right, and
certainly
so
not an
I've
avionic.
heard that as well. Fascinating. Well, I'm really sorry we've reached the end of today's hour because I'm ready for another hour, Alan.
I am too.
You want to come back sometime in the not-too-distant future?
Let's talk about that and do it. Yeah, I think so. But, I've always been told that you don't want to go back to the well too quickly lest other people be bored with you. So let's give it a month or so, but that'll be your convenience, and we can talk about it in between. But, yes, I'd love to be back. I enjoy it.
Sounds good. I appreciate it. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate your courage in speaking out on this. Wish you well and look forward to talking again.
Thank you, Kevin.
Take care.
All the best.
You too. Bye. That was Dr. Alan Sabrosky, the former Director of Studies at the Strategic Studies Institute of the U.S. Army War College, talking about his hard and fast conclusion that it was the Israeli Mossad that did 9/11. We'll be back with more outside-the-box thinking and controversial material next week. So until then, have a great week.
Mark, I don't think at the beginning of the show that you read the doctor's credentials off. I wish you would because it means a lot, and it means a lot to me to hear them.
Absolutely, and I will do that right now since I'm about to launch into reading this excellent article. Alan Sabrosky, Ph.D., University of Michigan, is a 10-year U.S. Marine Corps veteran and a graduate of the U.S. Army War College. Now, not only that, Dr. Sabrosky, correct me if I'm wrong here, not only are you a graduate of the U.S. Army War College, but you were Director of Studies there for some period of time. Is that correct?
That's correct, for 5.5 years.
5.5 years as Director of Studies at the U.S. Army War College. Of all the things that I would love to be able to have trailing behind my name, Dr. Sabrosky, being the Director of Studies at the U.S. Army War College would definitely be one of them.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
1, 2, 3.
Greetings and welcome to a joint TIU-TFC special broadcast. Today is Monday, 29th of March, the year 2010. I am joined by Daryl. Daryl, good evening.
It's great to be back with you, Noel. It's a lot of good stuff going to happen tonight, and I want to thank in advance Phil Turney and Mark Glenn's work with the gentleman we are bringing up right now. They deserve kudos for the interview that they did earlier on, and we're going to hopefully add a little value to that original interview tonight.
Absolutely. Let's bring in our guest, a special guest, Dr. Alan Sabrosky, Ph.D., University of Michigan, 10-year U.S. Marine Corps, and a graduate of the U.S. Army War College. Welcome, Alan.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Listen, it's a pleasure to have you on. Daryl mentioned this interview you did about 10 days ago, which is still going viral around the internet, which is great. You said several things on that particular audio, and we're not going to beat around the bush. You said 100% sure that Israel did 9/11, and you don't go into any conspiracy theories and all of this, every single thing that's been brought up in the last 9 years. You brought 9/11 down to simplify it, if I may, that can explain it to the U.S. people, but specifically to the military. Can you go a little bit into that, please?
Just a bit right now, because some of the research is still out there in a couple of articles that are due to be published later this week. Basically, there are several parts that fit into this. One of the, not in any particular order of importance for our discussion, one of it is that one of the first things in any type of a strategic analysis, when you're looking at an issue and you're not quite sure who or what may have been participants, is to ask yourself who benefits. Mm-hmm. Where are the payoffs?
Key bono. Yeah.
And that tends to be a very great discriminator. It eliminates an awful lot of possible participants and begins to focus on who's the beneficiary. And other than a number of corporations who are making a great deal of money off of the wars, the only real winner from 9/11 and the wars that it spawned, Afghanistan and Iraq, and of course Iran coming up to the front burner and Syria still simmering on the back burner, is Israel. No one else benefits. No other country benefits. That doesn't mean that people in the country don't benefit, but no other country does. Yeah. A second way of looking at it, and I'm just going to be mentioning a few of the things that have sort of led me to this. A second thing is to look at the requirements for the conduct of this type of an operation. I mean, even taking the U.S. government's case, neither Al-Qaeda nor any other terrorist operation in the world has the discipline, the skills, the coordination, anything else you wish, even to pull off a simultaneous four-plane hijacking, much less do what they did.
Well,
Third, there's WTC-7, the collapse of the third tower. Yeah. Not hit by a plane, clear controlled demolition. And what really focused my attention on this, and as I mentioned when we spoke briefly before the program, I was largely unaware of and almost indifferent to the details of 9/11 until about a year ago, even though I was opposed to the wars, was an interview with a Danish demolitions expert named Danny Jowenko. This guy brings down buildings for a living, and he was interviewed, I believe it was in April of 2009 on Danish television, and it's available on YouTube and many other places. He wasn't even aware that WTC-7 had gone down. Simply wasn't even aware of it. And when he looked at it, and they said, we're going to show you a building going down, he sees the building going down, and it's obviously a building in an urban area, and he said, it's an offhand, he says, clearly a professional job. Look, controlled demolition, how it goes down. And then he says, what? That was WTC-7? The same day? Yes. He didn't know. He didn't know. And I looked at that, and whatever one might think of the people that were supposedly in the plane, and let's buy the USG case for a moment. Let's say they were all there, that this was a four-plane hijacking, and they decided to do it. There is no way in the world they could have had access to a single WTC building, much less three of them, to wire them for demolitions and bring them down. I mean, their MO, the Al-Qaeda and other terrorist MO or freedom fighter MO or whatever you want to call them, is either a car, a truck, packed with explosives and parked near something and detonated, or driven into something and detonated, or explosive tied around your person and you blow it when you're close to a target. That's light years from the capability to wire a massive building for a controlled demolition, much less carry off a four-plane hijacking.
Well,
totally different capabilities.
You brought up a very...
They didn't have...
Go ahead, Alan.
They didn't have the expertise. They didn't have the access.